In the last video, we figured out your hunger. We figured out why you want to eat, the reason you sat down at the table in the first place. But now we have to talk about what you bring to the table. Because nobody comes to D&D or a tabletop role-playing game empty-handed. You might think you just bring your character sheet, some dice and a bag of chips, but you are wrong. You are dragging a massive invisible backpack full of baggage. And inside that bag is every bad DM you've ever had. Every amazing campaign you watched on YouTube, your political beliefs, even your trauma, your biases, your age, your job. We call these expectations. And the reason so many campaigns explode or implode or just fail, the reason you end up so frustrated or creeped out or angry, it's because you never opened that bag. You just sat down, you just dumped it out on the table and expected everyone else to sort through it. Kind of like a kinder looking for a ball of string. If hunger is the engine that drives you, expectations are the road you are driving on. And if you don't know where the potholes are, you're going to crash. Welcome to episode 2. Today we are unpacking the bag. We're talking about the hard lines, the soft lines, and the uncomfortable truth about who you should or should not be playing with. Let's define some terms. The idea of expectation is rooted in your hunger. If your hunger is released, you want to feel powerful and kill monsters. Your expectation is that the DM won't bog you down with 3 hours of shopping for a silk rope. If your hunger is the witness, you want tragedy. Your expectation is that the other players at the table will take the scene seriously and not just make random dead jokes during a funeral. But it goes deeper than the game. And this is where we have to talk about the baggage. This is the stuff you bring from the real world. And a master player understands that there are 2 types of expectations in this bag. The first one is your immovable objects, the hard lines. The second one is your mutable objects, the soft lines. And most players mix these up. They fight to the death over the soft lines. I hate this rule. But they stay silent on the hard lines. I really don't feel safe with that person. This is backwards. To master this hobby, you need to know exactly where your line in the sand is drawn. And you need to be willing to walk away when someone crosses it. Let's start with the heavy stuff. Your immovable objects. These are the expectations they're not about the game system. They're about your social safety and your worldview. There is no right or wrong answer here, but there is a right table and a wrong table. And you need to be honest about who you are. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, age. And I see this all the time. I'm a 54-year-old DM that doesn't care if players are kids, teens, in their 20s or 30s. But that is me looking through my point of view, not that 15-year-old's looking back at me. Now, people will say, oh, it's just a game. Age doesn't matter. You need to stop. We need to ask those uncomfortable questions. What is the motivation behind the play? And does your age or the gap in the ages make anyone uncomfortable? So you need to ask why a grown adult with a mortgage and back pain wants to spend 4 hours a week with teenagers. There is a disconnect. It is a massive gap in life experience, humor, and boundaries. And regardless of intent, I want to pass on my love of tabletop role-playing games to others so they can find the same rewards that I have and get out of it what I've gotten out of it. Well, it can still often feel creepy, a little cringe, because our expectations are miles apart. The 15-year-old, I think, expects chaos and memes, and they really want to get together with friends. People my age, we expect something else. A master player recognizes that life stage is a valid filter. It's not discrimination, it's compatibility. So be honest with the people in your group, no matter if they are the DM or the player. Know your and others' boundaries and respect them. Then we have the moral and social. I have my lines, and you have yours. When I'm vetting potential players, I look at their social media. I look at who they are. If I see questionable flags on their Facebook page, the racist dog whistles, the homophobia, the weird aggression, for me, this is a hard line. Not necessary because I am judging their souls. Oh, okay, actually I am. But because I do not want to associate with that energy. For me, being ignorant is not an excuse in displaying things that make other people uncomfortable. I'm also an atheist. I have a hard time playing with hardcore evangelistic religious types. Not because they're bad, because our fundamental view of reality is in conflict. I'm also an ally of the LGBTQ plus community. And if you're not okay with that, if you're going to roll your eyes at the non-binary NPC, I don't want to run a game for you. I don't want to spend my precious free time engaging in a social battle or trying to get you to respect people for their authentic gender identity and who they love. You know, with someone who doesn't respect the people I care about, for me, these are non-negotiables. But they also go both ways. I'm a white, cisgendered man. I was in the military. I jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. I'm a combat Navy diver, and I was an assistant team leader of a 6-man U.S. Marine Corps reconnaissance team. You might be asking why? Well, because, Army Rangers, they need heroes too. I know what I look like. I've been told by my gay friends that at first glance, I look like just another cis military guy. Not that I look like a threat, but I do look like the same bullshit that they've had to deal with their entire lives. I look like the people that they have argued with, been oppressed by, or even treated them poorly. Until you talk to me and realize that I care and I will fight tooth and nail for anyone to love whoever they want. That I don't care about gender or labels or any of that. I've got their back. This is the baggage I bring to the table, and a lot more. My appearance and past and all of it sets expectations. As a DM and a player, it is my job to bridge that gap. And it's my job to respect their caution. You need to figure out what your hard lines are. If you're sitting at the table where you have to hide your identity or your beliefs or your discomfort or comfort, if you aren't playing D&D or any tabletop role-playing game, you're performing survival, and you will never reach mastery of any game while you're in survival mode. Now, once you've established the hard lines, the safety, the age, the worldview, you are left with the rest of the bag. These are immutable objects, the soft lines. This is the actual game stuff. Do we play with strict encumbrance? Is PvP allowed? Are we going to do funny voices or serious acting? Or acting at all? Is this high fantasy or gritty realism? This is where master players learn to bend. If your hunger is fed, honestly, you should be flexible on your soft lines. Maybe you prefer rule of cool, but the DM likes rules as written. If the table is safe and the people are decent human beings and cool, and your hunger is being met, you need to get over it. The problem arises when players treat soft lines like hard lines. They quit a campaign because the DM didn't let them use a homebrew spell. That isn't having standards. That's being a brat. Don't be a brat. A master player motto has to be, I will never compromise my dignity or safety. That is the hard line. Everything else is a soft line I can bend with, provided my tum-tum is happy. This distinction Defining the hard line is what separates a master player from just a player. It is the definition of your non-negotiable expectations. And here's a note for the game masters. Now, we've been talking nonstop to the players. Here's a little bit for the GMs. You absolutely need to know and understand your own hard lines. But you must also know and respect your players or potential players' lines. This is where you learn that your player's hunger is and their soft expectations require careful management. Try to give them what they want, but do it in reason. Because let's be honest, your players don't know at all what they want. Neither do you as the GM. My point is, be kind and never run just one type of game. For example, I love roller coasters. But I also love Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, or the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disneyland. Not every experience has to be adrenaline pumping. Sometimes I want a Shakespearean tragedy.
Alas, poor Yorick.
And sometimes I want Blue Man Group, or Cirque du Soleil.
I knew him, Horatio.
Do not try to cater everyone every session, but make sure you cater to everyone over the course of the campaign. Your players' hunger will be satisfied, and you will get to run the game you want. You'll meet and exceed their expectations. So what happens when you do not do this work or draw those lines? What happens when you don't open that bag? Well, you end up writing a silent contract. You sit down assuming, and we all know how assume is spelled, everyone wants a serious Lord of the Rings game. The guy next to you assumes everyone wants Monty Python. And the DM assumes everyone wants Dark Souls. And nobody says a word. And 3 sessions in, the Monty Python guy tries to seduce the dragon. Well, the Dark Souls DM kills him instantly, and the Lord of the Rings player, maybe you, rolls their eyes and sighs. The game just imploded. And everyone leaves thinking the other players were bad players. They were not bad players. They just had different baggage and different soft lines. So what happens when you are the brat and not a master player? Your whole idea is to grab the ball and go home. Or as the GM, you grab the hoop and go home. I know this is a basketball analogy. Yes, I agree it is stupid. Not because the analogy does not get the point across, but because basketball is stupid. Why do I say that? Well, because I have no vertical jump, and I was constantly having to run in PE because I would check somebody and the teacher would yell, "Start running." Anyways, mastery is not about forcing the table to match your expectations. Mastery is about knowing your hunger, then conveying what your expectations are to make sure you get a little tiny dose of that every time you sit down. It is again about being honest with yourself, about what you want, and doing the work to define these things, because not knowing is so detrimental to the game. It's about saving yourself the heartache of trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. And this is about saving yourself the time of playing with people who don't respect your existence. So here's your homework. I want you to take 2 pieces of paper. On one side, I want you to write non-negotiables. Write down your lines in the sand. Is it age? Is it politics? Is it safety tools? Is it time commitment? Be brutal. These are the things that you will walk away from. And on the second one, write your negotiables. These are your preferences. High magic versus low magic. Miniatures versus theater of the mind, or combinations thereof. These are the things you are willing to trade to get a good or a great game. Remember that these are not written in stone, your soft lines. These are mutable and adaptive, and your hunger should always trump all of this. If your hunger is being met, then these negotiable items are just I would really like to ride a roller coaster, not, if I don't get to, I'm going to go home. Because once you know the difference, you stop being a passenger in your own hobby. You stop getting lucky or unlucky with groups, and you start choosing. That is a fundamental thing of being a master player. So pack your bag, check your gear. In the next video, we're going to talk about the fundamental reality of the hobby, the world you are playing in, and the true power you as a player wields. We are going to explore the art of surrender and why embracing the landscape of the story is the key to creating the game itself. If you did your homework, drop it in the comments below. What is your specific item on your non-negotiable list? Let me know. What are your hard line is? If you want to support the channel, we have a Ko-fi link, or join the Fluffy Spawn as a member here on YouTube. Regardless, make sure you hit the like and subscribe, because that is the easiest way to feed the platform's beast and keep this master level content coming. Plus, it helps the Fluffy Spawn keep the hard line strong. I'll see you there.